Hopefully you can all hear me today. We've got a few minutes before we get started, so get comfortable, take your time, and I will, you will need your journal and pen, but we've got like a couple of minutes, so just get comfortable, just while we get everything sorted. Maybe grab a glass of water or have a cup of tea. If you are watching this on the live, whether you are on Facebook or on Zoom, welcome. Welcome, welcome. My name's Sam. Welcome to Well with Samantha. If you're watching, if you're catching up on the replay, thank you for taking the time. Nadolig Llawen, Merry Christmas. And I hope that you've all had a lovely, lovely, restful time this festive period. Okay. So we've still got a minute or two, about another 60 seconds before we get started. Hopefully you've had a nice day today as well. It's been absolutely pouring down here. I've spent all day inside relaxing. I got a new journal today. Oh my God, I have to show you this. I get these every year. I've had them for the last 4 years, 3 years. This is the 4th year. It's by a company called Cocarina. It's run by a girl called Karina and her husband, Theo. They're based in Kefalonia in Greece. And they make these gorgeous journals. And every year there's a different theme. So this, and a different name. And this year is Melite, as in the bee. And what I love about this one is all like florography. And it's like, looks really regal. I love it. I think it's really pretty. Like, how cute is that? Very, very classy. But there's also Celtic tree months as well. Anyway, I digress. This is not a journal unboxing. But they still have them in stock. So if you are looking for a beautiful journal for the 2023, I can highly recommend. My mum got me it this year for my Christmas present, so I'm very, very excited to start writing. I'm going to go out tomorrow and buy a really nice like gold pen so that I can write in it. Okay, welcome. Welcome to Well with Samantha, with me, Samantha. If you are watching, if you're joining me live, thank you so much for spending the time. If you are catching up on the replay via Zoom or in the Facebook group, thank you as well. Just let me know by typing #replay in the comments. But today is day 2 in the WOW Revolution, and 2.0. And so we just have 1 day left after this. And today is all about, we're observing Asteya. I think I said yesterday we're going to be observing Satya. It's actually Asteya that we're going to be observing today. I've got the notes with me. And Asteya is non-stealing. And just like with ahimsa, non-violence, we can apply this to many different aspects of our lives. For the purpose of this particular practice, we're going to explore applying the concept of Asteya or non-stealing to our personal practice in relation to joy. So, whenever we do something for ourselves, self-care, be that through, working out, be that through meditation, breath work, going outside for a walk, practicing yoga in the physical sense, often we can come into these things with our ego, and we come in with a preconceived idea of what that particular practice should look like based on perhaps what we've seen online, perhaps what we have experienced previously, perhaps, the practice that we did the day before, right? And so we have this preconceived idea often that progress should be linear. I think we're all pretty, old enough and wise enough and to know that our progress is not linear, and actually this kind of linear way of thinking is not helpful. And often when we come into these things with that preconceived idea, we steal the joy out of it for ourselves, and then it becomes something that we should do, and we should do it a certain way, and we perhaps forget our initial intention or reason why for starting in the first place. So Asteya is all about non-stealing, and really for me it's about coming into my personal practice without stealing that joy. So I used to be really not strict, but very consistent with my personal yoga practice. And that's because it really helped me when I was in my corporate job. It really helped me to manage my anxiety and my stress. I didn't really realize at the time that I had anxiety. I just thought I was a bit stressed. Turns out I wasn't just a bit stressed. I was a lot stressed and heading for burnout. And it wasn't the first time, we don't always learn our lessons straight away, right? And so for me, that daily practice, giving myself that extra time in the morning, was really important for me because it allowed me to find joy in everyday things, and it allowed me to feel better about my current situation in terms of my career, because I wasn't very happy with what I was doing. And so I think when we show up for ourselves consistently, it can really improve our sense of joy within ourselves, as opposed to seeking external happiness. It's interesting though, and I've spoken this to quite a few people over the last few years, if you've practiced with me on a regular basis, or if you know me on a personal level, which many of you within this Facebook group, pretty much do, you'll know that I have said before, I should have known better when I trained to be a yoga teacher. I should have known that my personal practice was going to suffer and going to take a back seat. And it really has over the last couple of years. And I'm getting better at getting back into it. But that personal practice looks very different now to what it looked like this time almost 3 years ago. And there's a part of me that desperately wants to get back to what it used to look like. And I know I'll get there, but I'm finding joy now in the newer version of what my personal practice looks like. And my personal practice is a lot less physical than it used to be, because I've learned so much through becoming a yoga teacher, and so therefore my relationship with yoga has completely changed, and that has been great, but there is a part of me that really misses the physical aspect, right? And it's very difficult to come into my physical practice without my teacher brain kicking in and starting to think, oh, I could put that in my next lesson. Right, I need to make a note of this. So I really have to be, consistently trying to show up for myself in a way that allows me to do so without my teacher brain kicking in. And so this is why I did this 3-day challenge, because I purposely didn't put yoga in there, the physical practice. I did originally, and then I thought, let's take it out. And I did that on purpose because I really want to share with you that yoga is not just rolling out our mats and making a few shapes. It's great to do that, don't get me wrong, but it's so much more than that. And of course, we're going to be diving into that in much greater depth in January with the 31 days of yoga. But this was really the point of these 3 days, was to share with you that, there's so much more to it. There's the breath work, there's the meditation, the mindfulness, the self-study, the self-care. And it can be as simple as, in a couple of minutes, putting the kettle on, watching the kettle boil, which so many of us purposely don't do, right? But watching it boil and being present for that whole process, listening to the kettle boil, intentionally making your cup of tea however you make it, and pouring that water and watching the water change color and noticing the smell of the tea. And if you're having like a regular cup of tea, adding in your milk and watching it change color again, and then sitting down to actually enjoy the taste and not just making it and cracking on with whatever tasks it is that you're doing that day. So it's really about creating a little bit more intention and mindfulness in the everyday things. And it's these little things that can inject a little bit more joy into our everyday lives without us really having to think too much about it or spend a shed load of money, or often the most enjoyable things and the things that bring us the most joy are usually the things that are free or cost us very little, or certainly that's been my experience anyway, which is kind of nice actually, to know that we haven't got to be like filthy rich and have access to these amazing, wonderful spas all over the world, which, don't get me wrong, would be wonderful. Who wouldn't love to be able to do that whenever they wanted? But the reality is the vast majority of us can't. So I'm going to take you through a guided meditation. We're going to build on yesterday's breathing practice as well. So yesterday we practiced Samavriti breath, or square breath. So if you're on my mailing list, you would have received the replay of that practice. I also uploaded it into the Facebook group after yesterday's tech issue. I'm thinking, because I've had I've seen a couple of little hearts come up on the Facebook group on the live. So I'm guessing you can all hear me today, which is a good thing. I think I fixed that tech issue. We're going to build on yesterday, and I'm going to take you through a guided meditation that's really about focusing on that internal joy. But I wanted to just share something with you really quickly from this book, which is a translation of the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, the 8 Limbs of Yoga by Sri Swami Satchidananda. And so Asteya is literally translated Sanskrit, and its literal translation is non-stealing. And it says in here, if we want to become the world's richest people, there is a very simple way. There is no need to get into the stock market or even go to work, although obviously we need to work to survive. Just practice non-stealing. All of us are thieves. Knowingly and unknowingly, we steal from nature. With every minute, with each breath, we pick nature's pocket. For whose air do we breathe? It is nature's. That doesn't mean we should stop breathing. Instead, we should receive each breath with reverence and use it to serve others. Then we are not stealing. And I think that's really beautiful, because the air that we breathe, we take for granted. We all do that, right? We take it for granted because we do it every day without having to consciously think of it. So it's so easy to take it for granted. And I think that's why it's become very easy and common for so many of us to have a real disconnect to our breath. And I think I personally believe that is part of why so many people struggle with their breathing and perhaps do experience anxiety and anxiety attacks or panic attacks, where they struggle to have that control over their breathing because they've become so disconnected. And I think that's why, for me personally, breathing is such a huge part of my personal practice, because I believe when I consciously connect to my breath, I feel even more alive within myself. And that's why I want to share that with you. So yeah, if you like anything that I shared in this book, you can literally buy this from most good bookshops and online. If you have a local bookshop that you can support, obviously buy it from them before you buy online. But I'm going to guide you through a breathing practice and a guided meditation. So if you are lying down, get comfortable. If you are seated, get comfortable. If you're sat on the ground and you're maybe cross-legged, just make sure that you have lots of comfort and support around you, and that you're warm. If you are sat in a chair like me, maybe bring your feet so they're firmly planted flat to the ground. So if your legs are crossed, uncross them. Just see how it feels to sit with a little bit more balance in the body. And just if it feels comfortable, close the eyes. Maybe bring one hand to the heart space, one hand to the belly. Just take a moment here. Connect to your breath. Take a moment to notice where it's landing, how it feels, and if it's comfortable, close off the eyes. Take a few moments here. Notice the ease, the comfort, the discomfort, and the resistance in your breath, without trying to alter your breath. And notice thoughts, beliefs, and judgments as well. Acknowledge and welcome those thoughts, beliefs, and judgments in. Watch them as they glide into your consciousness, your mind. And then consciously choose to let them float off as you reconnect back to your breath. Notice where you feel it in your body. Maybe it's higher up in the torso, nearer to that hand resting on the chest. Maybe it's a little bit quicker, that's okay. Maybe it's a little bit lower down in the torso, nearer that hand resting on your belly. And a little bit longer and deeper, also okay. There's no right or wrong. This is simply awareness. And slowly, slowly, invite your inhale to deepen and your exhale to lengthen. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the mouth. Inhale. Exhale. Breathing it in again. And let it go with a big sigh. And continue here at your own pace. Consciously inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. And take 5 more rounds. And as you continue breathing here at your own pace, your own rhythm of inhaling and exhaling, noticing those thoughts, beliefs, and judgments as they enter into your mind, noticing your breath, the ease, the comfort, the discomfort, the resistance. Notice your body, your physical body sat or lying. Noticing the parts of you that are connected to the ground beneath you. Noticing to the spaces. Noticing your spine and the crown of your head. And drawing inwards just a little bit. Coming back to your breath. Noticing the connection between the palms of your hands, your chest, your belly. Feeling the natural rise and fall with every inhale and exhale of your breath. Coming back to those thoughts, beliefs, and judgments. Being aware of them, not resisting them. What we resist persists. And then notice how you feel in this moment. Notice your emotions. And again, notice them without judging yourself. Coming back to our observation of ahimsa from yesterday. Being kind to ourselves. Noticing how we're feeling. But not berating ourselves. Not questioning, just observing. Not looking for the answers constantly. Just observing. Coming back to the breath. Every time we feel perhaps we've lost an anchor, come back to that emotion that's running through us, that's flowing through us in this moment. Coming back to our breath. Coming back to the connection between the palms of our hands and our torso. Finding our way back to our breath and to this emotion. And observing the emotion that's flowing within us. Perhaps noticing, I feel a certain way. And then when we think of the emotion and we observe it flowing within us, suddenly we feel perhaps a separation from it. Like we are unattached to that emotion. And we're simply observing it flowing through our body. Notice how that feels. And as we draw further inwards, perhaps to our heart space, or maybe somewhere close to our crown of our head, begin to think of a joyful memory, perhaps a place that brings you joy. This might be a geographical location. It might be a time in your life, an occasion. It might be a person. Where does your mind automatically go when you think of a time when you felt pure joy? And what does that look like? What do you see? What do you smell? do you hear? What do you feel? Who are you with? And what do you taste? Take a moment here to build that joyful memory in your mind, that joyful occasion, person. Take your time to build it in your mind's eye. Let the colours become more bold, more vivid and vibrant. And that feeling of joy, allow it to swell within your heart space. And every time you feel yourself perhaps being pulled off in a different direction by a thought, belief, or judgment, come back to that joyful feeling. Reconnect to your breath. Reconnect to that connection between the palms of your hands and your torso as you find your way back to that joyful memory, vision, person, place. And take your time building it in your mind's eye. And slowly, slowly bring yourself back into your heart space, coming back to that emotion that's flowing through you. Observe what emotion is flowing through you right now in this moment. Consciously return back to your breath. Notice where it's landing and how it feels. And consciously bring your awareness back to the palms of the hands resting on your torso. Feeling that natural rise and fall with every inhale and exhale. Bring the palms together in front of your heart center. Start to rub the palms. Feel that warm heat and energy start to build. And placing the hands over the eyes, feel that warmth, heat and energy resonate throughout your entire body. And just take a moment to breathe here. And keeping the eyes closed, start to draw the hands away. Place them one on top of the other at your heart center. Take a deep inhale through the nose. And exhale everything out with a sigh. And as we do, we say thank you to the Krishnamacharya and Iyengar lineage of yoga, and to all of the teachers and practitioners who came before us. Bring the hands down into the lap and gently lower the chin down to the chest, flickering open the eyes, just setting the gaze into the palms of the hands, allowing that light to enter. And gently lifting your gaze when you're ready. Thank you for practicing with me this evening. Got a couple of journal prompts that I'd like to share with you today that I would encourage you to just take some time over the course of this evening. Now that we've done this practice, this breath work, building on our practice from yesterday and adding in that mini meditation. Excuse me. So the first question: how did my breath feel today? How did my breath feel today? And take note of what you write here, because it may be that your breath feels exactly the same as it did yesterday, or it may feel completely different. And there's no right or wrong there. It's just being aware of it, aware of those similarities and differences. So how did my breath feel today? Question number 2. I encourage you to journal on the visual that you created in your mind's eye that was so linked to that feeling of joy, whether it was a memory, a happy place, a geographical location, a person, a pet, previous experience. Journal on that, and again take note of what you write in your journal and on your paper. Write it out. So that one's not really much of a question, but just more of a journaling and making a note of what you created in your mind's eye. Perhaps what you ended up creating was something that you knew you would create, because you know that that is one of your favorite memories, one of your happiest memories, or you know that that is your happy place, right? But maybe you were quite surprised that perhaps it was something different. So journal on that. And the third one is, how can I bring more joy into my everyday life? How can I bring more joy into my everyday life? And I encourage you to think of ways that you can do that in perhaps a way that you've not done it before. So for example, maybe writing out the things that you're grateful for at the beginning or end of every day. I've been following the 3-6-9 method, where you write out what you're grateful for 3 times in the morning, 6 times at midday, and 9 times in the evening. In the evening, my writing hand is knackered by the end of the practice, but it is having a really big impact in my mindset. So that is the third question: how can I bring more joy into my everyday life? And it may be that you wish to find more joy in the simplest of things, or maybe you want to have more adventures, more experiences. Again, there's no right or wrong. Journal on it and observe what comes up, and without judgment, just observe it, notice it. But those are the 3 questions that I or 3 things that I would like you to, that I invite you to journal on this evening. If you would like to practice with me in more depth, please check out the 31 days of yoga. We start on Sunday with an intro and welcome pre-recorded practice. Monday, we start with our live opening ceremony circle. So you have a brand new practice every day for 31 days. It's going to be a mix of live and pre-recorded over the 31 days for £24 for the entire month, and you get full access to the entire membership as well. There's 150 practices in there and counting. So I would love to hold space for you. This is a little teaser of what you can expect over the 31 days of yoga. I will leave a link in this post when it goes live in the Facebook group, and obviously I will share it in tomorrow's email, one with the pre-recording as well, the recording of this from the Zoom. And I hope that you will join me tomorrow evening again at 6 p.m, where I will be guiding you through some self-reflection. So that is key journaling prompts that I use in the morning and key journaling prompts I use in the evening, because I use very different ones for morning and evening. And I found that that's really, as I said, shifted and impacted my mindset over the years. And it really helps me when I'm feeling particularly down, or I'm just not in a great place mentally. I find it really, really helps me to make sense and gain clarity when I'm feeling a little bit unclear or foggy. So I hope that you will join me for that. We will be observing that in relation to Satya, truthfulness, and building on today's practice and yesterday's as well. So I hope that you enjoyed this practice. Let me know in the comments below what came up for you. If you feel comfortable doing so, remember this is a completely safe space. And I hope that I will see you tomorrow. Take care, stay well. Bye.